Benefits so far, you have a personal advocate, and you have a marketing agency, and then the third benefit is legal access. I'm a licensed real estate agent. I am not a lawyer. I've never been to law school. I've never taken any law classes other than some business law, but I can't offer you legal advice. I can fill in blanks on a form, which is a listing agreement or a contract to purchase a property. I can fill in those blanks on a form that some lawyer somewhere has developed that the courts will accept if there's a problem down the road of getting your home sold. I can fill in those blanks. I can't offer you legal advice. I can't practice as an attorney. If I do those things, or if any real estate agent does those things as your real estate agent, they could lose their real estate license. I do know some real estate agents who are also attorneys, but when they're representing you to sell your home, they're not representing you as the attorney because the attorney didn't sign the document to list your home. The real estate agent side of them did. They can't offer you legal advice unless you've retained them. There may be a way of doing that for them to be your lawyer, but as your real estate agent, as your listing agent, they can't offer you legal advice. But I give you legal access. If you're selling your home on your own, chances are you don't have a long-term relationship with a real estate attorney who can close the deal and answer real estate questions. So if you're selling your home on your own and you look through, search the internet, get referrals, and you find a licensed real estate attorney who will help you close the deal to get your home sold, you're one of how many people are they working for? I don't know. How many deals are you going to do with them? One, maybe two or three in your lifetime if you buy or sell in that same market and they're there. As a real estate agent, I've closed multiple deals a year with the same licensed real estate attorney, closing agency, and the attorneys that they have. So do you think if I make a phone call with them in my phone, if I make a phone call or send a text asking a question, do you think I'm going to get a faster response than you? You may get a quick response, but I would say that more than likely, I'm going to get a faster response than you're going to get because I do more business with them. I have a longer term relationship with them that we're seeing each other on a regular basis. You don't have that if you're just having them come do it one time. It's like a roofer. How many times you put a roof on? Hopefully just once, maybe twice if you live in the house more than 30 years or if there's significant wind or hail damage. But chances are you're not talking to that roofer on a regular basis. Same thing with a real estate attorney if you're handling the sale of the home on your own. So we've already talked about this. The benefits of working with a listing agent, a personal advocate who's working for your benefit to get your home sold for as much as possible, as quickly as possible, so that you can get on to where you want to live next. A marketing agency. If you don't have a real estate agent who is doing this for you, then you've got to bring in marketers. You've got to bring in those people. Find the photographer, find the videographer that can do those things for you to be able to market your home and figure that out, and hopefully you've done the right thing. And then legal access. You can get that on your own. You might be able to get a little more quickly working with a listing agent. So quickly, we're going to wrap up. Let's talk about finding a listing agent. How do you find a listing agent? You ask for referral. Ask your friends, who did they use to get their home sold? If you're affiliated in any business networks or any community, chambers of commerce, those type things, economic councils, chances are somebody in one of those roles is a real estate agent, somebody you have a relationship with. Research online. Look at who pops up in searches when you're looking online. Who do you see, drive around your neighborhood? Who do you see lots of signs for in yards in your neighborhood? If there are lots of signs, that means they may be selling a lot of homes, or maybe if there are a lot of signs, they're not doing such a good job marketing because those homes haven't sold. I don't know, but there are different ways that you can find those agents, and then you want to interview potential agents. If you trust your friends, start with who they've used in the past. You need to evaluate that agent's experience, and I'll tell you that just because they've been a real estate agent for a long time doesn't necessarily mean they're better at it. Some of those agents who have been agents for a long time really are dialed into the market and are wonderful at helping you get your home sold. Some of them, because they've been around so long, they either don't need to do a lot of deals or they already do a lot of deals, so they're not going to be as diligent at helping you get your home sold. A new agent, a year or two in the business that hasn't sold a lot of homes, you might think, I don't think they're going to do a good job. Well, those newer agents tend to be more aware of the newer tools to help get your home sold. And if they're working at a good real estate brokerage, they've got a mentor in their back pocket, a real estate agent who has been around for a while that's mentoring them, helping them navigate all that. Don't be afraid of a long-term agent. Don't be afraid of a brand new agent. Talk to them. They may be a go-getter to see how they're going. Be careful. I would say be careful with those agents who will tell you they'll cut a deal, they'll They'll cut their commission, their professional services fees. They'll cut those things to be able to get your business. Before I became a real estate agent, I actually had folks that asked me, if they could sell my home and that they would do it at a discount. They might provide all the bells and whistles and all the services, but then they also may cut back on those. So I get that. Being a real estate agent myself, I understand the reason, the need for wanting to be able to make as much money as you can, save as much as you can by having it sold as inexpensively as possible. And then their communication skills. I mentioned earlier up front, that's one of those things I know I can grow in, and I'm putting systems in place to where I do grow in that process of making sure I'm staying in regular contact with my clients on how the process is going of getting your home sold. We talked about the benefits, talked about finding an agent, and I mentioned the cost of working with a listing agent. Yes, it's going to cost you to work with a listing agent, but let's talk about that for just a moment. According to the National Association of Realtors, they do a survey every year, and the 2022 survey results that was published in 2022 when they surveyed buyers and sellers. Let me talk about buyers for just a moment. They said that 86% of buyers worked with a real estate agent. Now, 86% worked with an agent, meaning you're selling your home, and if you decide to try to sell your home for sale by owner, FSBO is what we call it in the market. If you're doing it FSBO, you need to realize that 86% of those buyers are working with a real estate agent, meaning they're going to bring a person who is their personal advocate, who is doing the reverse marketing, trying to find that home for them, giving them legal access as well all along the way. They're working on their behalf. 86% of them are going to have a real estate agent working for them, and they're going to have to pay that real estate agent their professional services fee to help them find that home. It's an agreement that they've made with that agent. The way our industry generally works is if you work with a listing agent, you're going to agree to a certain amount of professional services fee, and that listing agent is going to offer a portion of that fee to a buyer's agent to bring a buyer to buy that home. And if they successfully close the deal and purchase it, the listing agent's brokerage is going to pay the buyer's agent's brokerage an amount of money. That can be whatever they agree to list it at. Many times it's about half. So whatever you agree to list your house with, pay that professional services fee, more than likely that listing agent is also going to offer some of that money to a buyer's agent, so the buyer is not paying money over and above. They're already struggling with money they're going to need for down payment, money they're going to need for closing costs and prepaids. And if it's a $300,000 house, that could be $20,000. And they might need another $8,000 to $10,000 to pay a real estate agent to work on their behalf to help them find a home. That money is generally built into the sales price. Just so you know, have a conversation with a local real estate agent in your market or with me. We'll talk about what that actually looks like. Now, where did buyers find their homes? 51% found their home on the internet, 29% through a real estate agent, 4% through a yard sign or an open house sign, 10% friend, relative, or neighbor, 5% directly from the sellers or that they knew the sellers, and then 1% from a home builder or home builder's agent, and less than 1% from newsprint or advertisement. So what that tells me is that all of those places that buyers found homes, 85% of those are places where a listing agent can help you with that. So 85% of those, without having a listing agent working on your behalf, you already eliminate 30% of those options of where buyers are. You're only getting access to 70% of the buyer's market if you're doing it on your own. You can still do it on your own, 70%. Hey, but a listing agent gets you access to 85%. The other 10% was a friend, relative, or agent, a friend, relative, or neighbor. 10%, that's who you know. 5%, you directly know the buyers. And again, to me, that fits that friend, relative, or neighbor category. So about 15% of the buyers already had some kind of a relationship with the sellers. 85% didn't. Working without a listing agent eliminates 30% of those buyers out there. You just may want to be aware of that. So how about the sellers? What did the National Association of Realtors research discover about them? 86% of sellers used a real estate agent. Now, not every one of those homes sold, but 10% of the homes that sold were sold for sale by owner. Owners sold that without the help of a listing agent. And here's what those sellers, those FSBOs for sale by owners, here's what they said they found difficult. 6% preparing, fixing up their home for sale. 16% getting the right price. 13% understanding and performing the paperwork. And 10% selling within the planned length of time. So there you go. If you're selling it for sale by owner, do you know that you've had the right price? We talked about that in an episode. Understanding all the paperwork, all the forms that go in. And just because you do it for sale by owner doesn't mean that you can eliminate all of the forms that have to be applied, because the real estate commission's regulations will determine exactly what has to be done. Like in Mississippi, where I'm primarily an agent, and in Tennessee, there's a property conditions disclosure statement that sellers have to complete if a real estate agent is involved in that process. Even if you do it for sale by owner, if the buyer has an agent working with them, you still have to complete that document. Do you have somebody helping you navigate all that? Anyway, just so you know, understanding with all that. And the typical for sale by owner home sold for $225,000, where the agent assisted home sold for $330,000. So selling with the listing agent, more than likely you're going to walk away with more money, even though you're paying a professional services fee. I get it. I think maybe some of those stats may be skewed because those homes sold for less, meaning that the for sale by owner that has a $200,000 or $220,000 home for sale, the amount of money they need to get out of it to pay off the mortgage or to have for their next home, they may not have enough margin built in to pay a buyer's agent and pay a listing agent. But even if you do it for sale by owner, you need to be prepared, because if I'm representing a buyer and you're selling your home for sale by owner and my buyer, your home fits them, when I reach out to you, I'm going to ask if you're cooperating with the buyer's agent, meaning are you willing to pay the professional services fee that my buyer owes me, but you'll pay it out of your proceeds, so that when you close, you get a check that's taken out however much money that you owe on it, the mortgage you owe, and any repairs that you owe somebody for the home, and the professional services fee that you're going to pay that buyer's agent. So you're already looking at some of your proceeds, your net proceeds from your home going to a buyer's agent. You're at least going to have that question. So is it worth a little bit more money on your part to pay for the professional services fee for somebody who is your personal advocate, also operates as your marketing agency, and also gets you legal access quickly? Just some things to know about getting your home sold.